I woke up on Christmas morning to an empty house. No kids, no grandkids, just silence and a single wrapped box under the tree with my name on it. I thought maybe they'd run out to get breakfast, so I opened it. Inside wasn't a gift, it was a legal document. My daughter was suing me for grandparents' rights and trying to take custody of my house. Merry Christmas to me. By the end of this story, you'll understand why the people you trust the most are sometimes the ones who hurt you the worst, and how I survived the cruelest Christmas of my life. Let me back up. My name is Eleanor Price, but everyone calls me Ellie. I'm 74 years old, and until Christmas morning 2022, I thought I had the perfect family. I was married to my husband, Richard, for 48 years. We had 3 children, my daughter Jennifer, who's 52, my son David, who's 49, and my youngest, Michael, who's 45. Richard passed away in March of 2020, right at the start of the pandemic. Heart attack. One minute he was fine, the next minute he was gone. We never even got to say goodbye properly. I had to watch him die over FaceTime because the hospital wouldn't let me in. After Richard died, I fell apart, completely fell apart. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I'd sit in his chair in the living room and just stare at the walls for hours. My kids were worried about me. I could see it in their eyes every time they called, every time they visited. Jennifer especially. She'd come over twice a week, bring groceries, try to get me to talk. "Mom, you can't keep living like this," she'd say, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. "You need to start taking care of yourself. Dad wouldn't want you to waste away." But I couldn't help it. Richard and I had been together since I was 22 years old. We'd built our whole life together in this house, a 3-bedroom colonial in Westchester County, New York, that we bought in 1975 for $45,000. We raised our kids here. We celebrated every holiday here. Every room had a memory. His smell was still in the closets. His coffee mug was still in the cabinet. By the summer of 2020, I was doing a little better. Not great, but better. I'd started going for walks, I'd started cooking again. I'd even started attending my book club on Zoom, which felt ridiculous, but at least it got me out of my own head. That's when Jennifer suggested I move in with her. "Just temporarily, Mom," she said, "just until you're feeling stronger. Mark and I have plenty of room." Mark is her husband, "and the kids would love having you around." Jennifer has 3 kids, Sophie, who's 24, twins Emma and Ethan, who are 22. They're good kids, I love them, but I didn't want to move in with Jennifer. I wanted to stay in my house. "I appreciate the offer, sweetheart, but I'm fine here," I said. "Mom, you're not fine. You're alone in a big house with too many memories. You need family around you right now." "I have family around me. You visit, David calls, Michael texts." She sighed. "It's not the same." I didn't move in with her, and honestly, I started to feel like maybe I'd made a mistake because the loneliness was crushing. The house felt huge without Richard. Every sound echoed, every night was the same. Make dinner for one, watch TV for one, go to bed in a room that felt half empty. But it was my house, my life, my choice. In December 2021, we had a small Christmas. Just me, Jennifer's family, David and his wife, Michael and his girlfriend. We couldn't do our usual big gathering because of COVID, but we made it work. We had dinner, exchanged gifts, watched the kids open presents. It was nice. Different, but nice. Jennifer pulled me aside in the kitchen while we were cleaning up. "Mom, I've been thinking, what if you sold the house and moved into a senior community, somewhere with other people your age, activities, help if you needed? You wouldn't be so isolated." "I don't want to live in a senior community," I said, scrubbing a dish a little too hard. "I'm 72, not 90. I can take care of myself." "I know you can. I'm just worried about you." "I'm fine, Jennifer." She didn't look convinced, but she dropped it. Over the next year and a half, things were fine. I adjusted to being alone. I made friends with my neighbor Barbara, who was also a widow. We'd have coffee together on Saturday mornings and complain about our kids. I joined a senior exercise class at the Y. I started volunteering at the library. I wasn't thriving, but I was surviving, and that felt like enough. My relationship with Jennifer stayed good. She still came over twice a week. We'd have lunch, talk about her kids, talk about her job. She's a real estate agent. She'd mention the house occasionally. Mom, the market is hot right now. If you wanted to sell, you could get a great price. But I just smile and change the subject. Then came Christmas 2021. Jennifer and Mark invited me to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at their house. "Stay over, Mom," Jennifer said. "It'll be like when the kids were little. We'll do stockings in the morning, make a big breakfast. It'll be fun." I agreed. It did sound fun, and I didn't want to wake up alone in my house on Christmas morning. Christmas Eve was lovely. We went to church, came back and had dinner, watched Christmas movies. The grandkids were excited. Sophie had brought her new boyfriend. The twins were home from college. Jennifer had decorated beautifully. Lights everywhere, garlands on the stairs, a huge tree in the living room. That night, after everyone went to bed, Jennifer and I stayed up talking. We were sitting by the Christmas tree, drinking wine, and she got emotional. "I miss Dad so much," she said, tears in her eyes, "especially at Christmas. He loved Christmas." "I know, honey. I miss him too." "Do you ever think about selling the house, starting fresh somewhere without all the memories?" There it was again, the house. "Jennifer, I've told you, I'm not selling." I know. Mom, that house is too much for you. The maintenance, the property taxes, the upkeep. You're 73 years old. What happens if you fall? What if you have a medical emergency?" "Then I'll deal with it." She looked at me for a long moment. "You're so stubborn." "I learned from the best. Your father was the most stubborn man I ever met." She laughed, wiped her eyes. "Yeah, he was." We hugged goodnight, and I went to sleep in their guest room, feeling grateful for my daughter, grateful for my family, grateful that even though Richard was gone, I still had people who loved me. I had no idea what was coming. But what I didn't know was that Jennifer had already made plans for my future, plans she hadn't bothered to tell me about. Christmas Day 2021 was perfect. We opened presents, had a huge breakfast, played games. The grandkids were happy. Mark made his famous cinnamon rolls. Jennifer gave me a beautiful necklace. I gave everyone gifts I'd carefully picked out and wrapped. That evening, after dinner, Jennifer sat down next to me on the couch. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something important." "Okay," I said, setting down my coffee. "Mark and I've been talking, and we think it's time for you to seriously consider moving, not to a senior community. I know you hate that idea, but maybe into our house, permanently." I blinked. "Jennifer, we've talked about this." "I know, but hear me out. We'd renovate the basement, make it a full apartment for you, your own entrance, your own space, but you'd be with family, and then we could sell your house, use that money to fund your retirement properly. You'd be set for life." "I don't want to sell my house." "Mom, be reasonable. That house is worth at least $800,000 now. That's a lot of money sitting in one place. If you sold it, invested it properly, you'd have income for the rest of your life, plus no more property taxes, no more maintenance, no more worry." "I'm not worried." "Well, I am." Her voice rose a little. "I'm worried about you living alone in that big house. I'm worried about you falling down the stairs or having a stroke and no one finding you for days. I'm worried about you being taken advantage of by contractors or scammers. You're vulnerable, Mom, whether you want to admit it or not." I felt my jaw tighten. "I'm not vulnerable. I'm a grown woman who's perfectly capable of making her own decisions." "Then make a smart one. Sell the house, move in with us, and stop being so stubborn." Mark appeared in the doorway. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Jennifer said quickly, her tone shifting. But everything wasn't fine. The conversation had left a bad taste in my mouth. For the first time, I felt like Jennifer wasn't suggesting things for my benefit. She was pushing for what she wanted. I went home the next day and we didn't talk for a week. When she finally called, she apologized. "I'm sorry I pushed too hard. I just love you and want what's best for you." I know, honey, but you have to trust that I know what's best for me. I do trust you, I promise. But something had shifted. Over the next few months, January, February, March 2022, Jennifer's visits became less frequent. She'd stop by once a week instead of twice. She seemed distracted when we talked. I asked her if everything was okay, and she said she was just busy with work. In April, Jennifer came over with a stack of papers. "Mom, I need you to sign some things." "What things?" "Just some paperwork, power of attorney, healthcare proxy, stuff like that. Dad had it all set up for you, but now that he's gone, we need to update everything so I can help you if something happens." That made sense. I'd been meaning to update my documents anyway. I started reading through them, but they were dense, legal language, tiny print. Jennifer stood over me, tapping her foot.
"Mom, just sign them. I had our lawyer draw them up. It's all standard stuff." "Let me read them first." "Mom, you don't understand this legal jargon. That's why I had a lawyer do it. Just trust me." Something about her tone bothered me. "Jennifer, if you want me to sign something, I need to read it first." She sighed, exasperated. "Fine, take your time. Call me when you're ready." She left the papers and drove away, annoyed. I read every single page, and I'm so glad I did. Because buried in those documents, between the power of attorney and the healthcare proxy, was a document that would have given Jennifer control of my house. Not just the ability to manage it if I became incapacitated, full legal control, the right to sell it without my permission. I called my own lawyer the next day. "Ellie, you absolutely should not sign this," he said. "This gives your daughter complete control of your assets. She could sell your house, drain your bank accounts, and you'd have no recourse." "But the power of attorney—" "The power of attorney is fine, but this other document, this is something else entirely. This is you signing away your rights." I felt sick. My own daughter had tried to trick me? When I called Jennifer to tell her I wasn't signing, she exploded. "Mom, you're being paranoid. I'm trying to help you." "By taking control of my house without telling me?" "That's not— You don't understand. The lawyer said it was necessary for estate planning." "Your lawyer or my lawyer? Because my lawyer says this gives you the right to sell my house without my consent." Silence. Then, "So you don't trust me?" "Jennifer, you tried to trick me into signing over my house." "I'm trying to protect you from yourself. You're not thinking clearly. You're depressed, you're isolated, and you're making bad decisions." "The only bad decision I've made lately is trusting you with these documents." She hung up on me. We didn't speak for 2 months. David and Michael called, trying to mediate. "Dad, Mom says you're being unreasonable," David said. "She's just trying to help." "Did she tell you she tried to get me to sign over my house?" "She said it was for estate planning." "It was a trick, David, and I'm not signing anything." By June, Jennifer had recruited her siblings. All 3 of my kids were united. I needed to sell the house, move somewhere safer, and stop being difficult. "You're ganging up on me," I said during a tense family dinner at David's house. "We're not ganging up on you, Mary. We're worried about you." "Then trust me to take care of myself." "Mom, you're 74 years old." "I'm aware of my age, thank you." "And you're living alone in a big house. Something bad is going to happen eventually. What if you fall? What if you forget to take your medications? What if—" "What if I'm fine?" I interrupted. "What if I'm perfectly capable of living my own life without my children micromanaging me?" The dinner ended early. I drove home in tears. Over the summer and fall, my relationship with my kids deteriorated. They'd call less, visit less. When they did visit, it was tense. Everything felt like a negotiation. Everything felt like they were waiting for me to mess up, to prove them right. In November, Jennifer called. Her voice was cold, formal. "Mom, we need to talk. Can I come over?" "Of course." She arrived with Mark and a folder of documents. They sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd had thousands of meals with Richard, where we'd helped our kids with homework, where we'd laughed and cried and lived our lives. Mom, Mark and I have been talking with David and Michael. We all agree that you're not capable of living independently anymore. My heart stopped. Excuse me? You're depressed, you're not taking care of yourself, you're making poor decisions, and we all think that you need to be in a supervised living situation. Supervised living? Are you serious? We found a wonderful assisted living facility in White Plains. It's only 20 minutes away. You'd have your own apartment, meals provided, activities, nurses on staff. I don't need nurses. I don't need assisted living. I need my children to stop treating me like I'm incompetent. Mark spoke up. Ellie, no one thinks you're incompetent, but you're grieving, you're isolated, and you're not making rational decisions. The house is too much for you. It's my house. Richard and I bought it 50 years ago. I'm not leaving. Jennifer pulled a document from her folder. Mom, if you won't go voluntarily, we're prepared to petition the court for guardianship. I stared at her. Guardianship? It's for your own good. We'd become your legal guardians, which means we could make decisions about your living situation, your finances, your medical care. You want to have me declared incompetent. Not incompetent, just in need of assistance. I stood up. Get out of my house. Mom, get out right now. They left, and I sat at that kitchen table and cried harder than I'd cried since Richard died. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I had no idea what they were planning for Christmas. The guardianship threat hung over me like a dark cloud for the next month. I consulted with my lawyer, who assured me that as long as I was of sound mind, which I was, my kids couldn't just take away my rights. But they can make your life difficult, he warned. They can file petitions, request evaluations, drag you through court. It's expensive and stressful. So what do I do? You stand your ground, document everything, make sure you're taking care of yourself, doctor appointments, medications, home maintenance, give them no ammunition. I did exactly that. I went to every doctor appointment. I kept meticulous records. I had my house deep cleaned. I made sure everything was perfect, just in case. In early December, Jennifer called. Her voice was warm again, apologetic. Mom, I'm so sorry about last month. I was out of line. Can we start over? I wanted to believe her. She's my daughter. I love her. Of course, sweetheart. I want to make it up to you. Spend Christmas together like last year. Stay at our house Christmas Eve, wake up together on Christmas morning. What do you say? I hesitated. I don't know, Jennifer. Please, Mom, I miss you. The kids miss you. Let's put all this behind us and just have a nice Christmas as a family. She sounded sincere, and I missed her too. I missed my grandkids. I missed feeling like I had a family instead of adversaries. Okay, I said, I'd like that. Perfect. Come over Christmas Eve at around 4 p.m. We'll have dinner, go to church, do the whole traditional thing. The next 2 weeks, Jennifer was attentive again. She called every other day. She came over for lunch. She brought me a poinsettia for my porch. It felt like we'd turned a corner, like maybe the worst was behind us. Christmas Eve arrived. I packed an overnight bag, wrapped presents for everyone, and drove to Jennifer's house feeling hopeful. But when I arrived, something felt off. The house was decorated, but not like last year. There were fewer decorations, less warmth. Jennifer greeted me at the door with a tight hug. Hi, Mom, come in. Sophie, Emma, and Ethan were there, but they seemed subdued. They hugged me, said hello, but then disappeared upstairs quickly. Mark was polite but distant. David and Michael weren't there. They're coming tomorrow morning, Jennifer said. We had dinner. It was fine. Not bad, not great, just fine. The conversation was stilted. Everyone seemed to be dancing around something. After dinner, we went to church. The service was beautiful, but I couldn't focus. I kept feeling like everyone knew something I didn't. When we got home, Jennifer suggested we all go to bed early. Big day tomorrow. Let's get some rest. I went to the guest room and tried to sleep, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. At some point, I don't know what time, I heard voices downstairs, hushed, urgent. I got up and opened my door a crack. Jennifer and Mark were talking in the hallway below. "In the morning," Jennifer was saying, "after she opens it." "Are you sure about this?" Mark asked. "It's the only way. She won't listen to reason. This will force her hand." "It's Christmas, Jen." "I know, but Mom needs help whether she wants it or not. After tomorrow, she won't have a choice." I closed the door quietly and sat on the bed, my heart pounding. What were they planning? I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, waiting for morning. When Christmas morning came, I got dressed and went downstairs at 7 a.m., the usual time we did Christmas morning. The house was silent. No one was up. No coffee brewing, no Christmas music playing. I waited in the living room for an hour, then 2 hours. At 9 a.m., I walked upstairs and knocked on Jennifer's door. No answer. I tried Sophie's room, Emma and Ethan's rooms. Nothing. That's when I noticed their cars were gone, all of them. They'd left on Christmas morning without telling me. I stood in that empty house in my Christmas sweater, holding the presents I'd brought for everyone, and I realized they'd abandoned me. I went back downstairs, numb. That's when I saw it. Under the tree, where last night there had been dozens of wrapped presents, there was now only one, a medium-sized box with silver wrapping paper and a red bow. My name on the tag, to Mom. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. It was light, too light to be a real gift. I sat on the couch and carefully unwrapped it. Inside was a legal document. The top page read, "Petition for Guardianship of Eleanor Price." I read through it with growing horror. Jennifer, David, and Michael were jointly petitioning the court to be appointed as my legal guardians. The document claimed I was unable to manage my own affairs due to diminished mental capacity caused by grief, depression, and isolation. There were statements from all 3 of my kids detailing my concerning behaviors, refusing to sell my house, declining to move to assisted living, becoming increasingly paranoid and resistant to help. There was a court date, January 15th, 2023. And there was a note in Jennifer's handwriting. "Mom, we're doing this because we love you. You'll understand eventually. We're all at David's house for Christmas. We thought it would be better if you weren't there today. Mark will pick you up at noon to take you home. Merry Christmas. Love, Jennifer." I sat there holding that document in that empty house on Christmas morning, and something inside me broke. Not broke like when Richard died. That was grief. This was something else. This was betrayal. What I didn't know yet was that this wasn't even the worst part. Mark arrived at noon exactly as Jennifer's note had said. He knocked on the door quietly, almost sheepishly. I opened it. I was still holding the guardianship papers. "Hi, Ellie," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Ready to go home?" "Did you know about this?" I held up the papers. "Jennifer thought it would be better to give you some time to process it privately." "By abandoning me on Christmas morning?" "We didn't abandon you. We just thought—" "Get out," I said quietly.
Ellie, I'm supposed to drive you. I said get out. I'll drive myself home. I grabbed my overnight bag, walked past him, got in my car, and drove home in silence. I don't remember the drive. I was in shock. When I got home, I called my lawyer. It was Christmas Day, but I called anyway and left a voicemail. This is Eleanor Price. My children are trying to have me declared incompetent. I need your help. Then I sat in Richard's chair and cried. I cried for hours. I cried until I didn't have any tears left. Around 5 p.m., my phone rang. It was Michael. Mom, I hope you're not too upset about today. Too upset? My voice was hoarse from crying. You served me with guardianship papers on Christmas morning and left me alone in an empty house? We didn't serve you. We just wanted you to see what we're planning so you'd have time to think about it before court. Michael, you're trying to take away my rights, my freedom, my home, and you did it on Christmas. We're trying to help you, Mom. Can't you see that? No, I can't. All I can see is that my children, the people I raised, the people I loved and sacrificed for, think I'm incompetent. That's not. We don't think you're incompetent. We think you're struggling and you need support. Then support me. Don't try to take away my rights. Mom, we tried. For 2 years we tried. You won't listen. You won't accept help. So we have to do this the hard way. There is no hard way. There's just you betraying me. That's not fair. You're right. What's not fair is waking up on Christmas morning instead of my family. I hung up. Over the next week, I learned the full extent of what they'd been planning. My lawyer got copies of everything they'd filed with the court. They'd been building a case against me for months. They'd talked to my doctors, without my permission, trying to get them to say I was depressed or declining. They'd talked to my neighbors, asking if they'd noticed anything concerning about my behavior. They documented every time I declined their suggestions about the house, framing it as evidence of impaired judgment. They'd even hired a psychiatrist to evaluate me, or rather to review my case based on their descriptions of me, and he'd written an opinion that I may be experiencing diminished capacity, all without ever talking to me directly. This is insane, I told my lawyer. They can't do this. Unfortunately, they can try. Adult guardianship laws are designed to protect vulnerable people, but they can be abused. Your children are using your grief over your husband as evidence that you can't make your own decisions. But I'm fine. I'm taking care of myself. I'm not doing anything dangerous. I know, which is why we're going to fight this. But Ellie, I need you to understand, this is going to get ugly. Your children are going to say things about you in court that will hurt. They're going to paint you as confused, stubborn, unable to care for yourself. Are you prepared for that? I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. You could sell the house, move in with Jennifer, and make this all go away. So I should give up my home and my independence because my children are bullying me? I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you could. It's an option. It's not an option I'm willing to consider. Then we fight. The court date was January 15th. I had 3 weeks to prepare. My lawyer arranged for me to be evaluated by an independent psychiatrist. I spent 2 hours answering questions about my mental state, my daily activities, my decision-making process. The psychiatrist was kind, thorough, and at the end said, "Mrs. Price, I see no evidence of diminished capacity. You're grieving, which is normal and healthy, but you're fully capable of managing your own affairs." I also had to get letters from my doctors confirming I was in good health, both physically and mentally. From my neighbors confirming I was taking care of my property and behaving normally. From my friends at book club and the library confirming I was socially engaged and mentally sharp. It was humiliating. having to prove to strangers that I was competent because my own children claimed I wasn't. The worst part was that David, Michael, and Jennifer weren't backing down. They truly believed they were right, that I was declining and too stubborn to see it, that they were saving me from myself. 2 days before the court hearing, Jennifer called. "Mom, we can still stop this. If you agree to sell the house and move somewhere safer, we'll withdraw the petition." So this is extortion. It's a final offer. Move voluntarily or the court will decide for you. "Jennifer, why are you doing this?" "Because I love you, because Dad would want me to take care of you, because you're not thinking straight." "I'm thinking perfectly straight. What I'm not doing is letting you bully me into giving up my home. Then I'll see you in court." She hung up. January 15th arrived. I dressed in my best suit, navy blue, conservative, the kind of outfit that said, "Competent adult woman." I met my lawyer at the courthouse. He'd prepared me for what to expect, but nothing could really prepare me for seeing my 3 children sitting on the other side of the courtroom, lined up with their lawyer, ready to testify against me. Jennifer was wearing black, like she was going to a funeral. Maybe she was, the funeral of our relationship. The hearing took 4 hours. Their lawyer presented their case first. I was a grieving widow living alone in a house too big for me. I was depressed, isolated, and making poor decisions. I'd refused all offers of help. I'd become paranoid, accusing my children of trying to steal my house. I needed supervision and support that I was refusing to accept voluntarily. Then they called Jennifer to testify. She sat in the witness stand, and with tears in her eyes, she talked about how worried she was about me, how I'd changed since Dad died, how I barely ate, barely left the house, barely engaged with family, how I'd accused her of trying to trick me with legal documents when she was only trying to help. "My mother isn't herself anymore," she said, crying. "She's angry, defensive, paranoid. We just want her to be safe and cared for. That's all we've ever wanted." I sat there listening to my daughter describe me like I was a stranger, like I was a problem to be solved instead of a person to be loved. Then David testified, then Michael, both saying similar things. Their mother was struggling, their mother needed help, their mother was too stubborn to accept it. Finally, it was my turn. My lawyer called me to the stand. I took a deep breath and told my side. I talked about Richard, about our life together, about the grief of losing him. I talked about my house, how it wasn't just a building, it was 50 years of memories. I talked about my daily routine, my walks, my book club, my volunteer work, my coffee dates with Barbara. I talked about the legal document Jennifer had tried to get me to sign, the one that would have given her control of my house without my knowledge. I'm not declining, I'm grieving. There's a difference. Grief doesn't make me incompetent, it makes me human. Then my lawyer presented evidence. Letters from my doctors, my independent psychiatric evaluation, testimonies from my neighbors and friends, my financial records showing I was managing my money responsibly, my medical records showing I was keeping up with all appointments and medications. Finally, my lawyer called Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the independent psychiatrist who'd evaluated me. "Dr. Mitchell, in your professional opinion, is Mrs. Price capable of managing her own affairs?" "Absolutely. Mrs. Price is a sharp, articulate, mentally competent woman who is navigating grief in a healthy way. She's making rational decisions based on her own values and priorities. The fact that her children disagree with those decisions doesn't mean she lacks capacity." And the claim that she's paranoid. Mrs. Price had legitimate concerns about a legal document that would have given her daughter control of her assets. That's not paranoid, that's appropriate caution. The judge asked a few questions, then she said she'd issue a ruling within 2 weeks. We all left the courthouse. Jennifer, David, and Michael didn't even look at me. They just got in their cars and drove away.
I sat in my car in the parking lot and waited for the tears to come, but they didn't. I was too empty, too exhausted. The waiting was the worst part. 2 weeks of not knowing if I'd keep my freedom or lose everything. Those 2 weeks felt like 2 years. Every day I woke up wondering if today would be the day the court ruling came. Every day I lived with the uncertainty of whether I'd still have control of my own life tomorrow.
I didn't hear from any of my kids. Not a call, not a text, nothing. On January 28th, my lawyer called. Ellie, the ruling came through. My heart stopped. And? You won. The judge denied the guardianship petition. She said there's no evidence you lack capacity and that your children's concerns, while well-intentioned, don't rise to the level of requiring legal intervention. I started crying, not sad tears, relief tears. Thank you so much. There's more. The judge also issued a restraining order preventing your children from filing another guardianship petition for at least 2 years unless there's significant new evidence of decline. She said this case bordered on abuse of the legal system. So it's over? For now, yes. You're free, Ellie. Your house is yours. Your life is yours. I hung up and sat in my kitchen in my house, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Safe. An hour later, David called. Mom, we heard about the ruling. And I think we made a mistake. I'm sorry, I really am. We thought we were helping, but we were wrong. You tried to take away my rights, David. You stood in court and said I was incompetent. I know, and I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want you to know I'm sorry. Is Jennifer sorry? Is Michael sorry? Silence. I can't speak for them. Tell them to call me themselves if they want to apologize. I hung up. Michael called the next day. His apology was similar, genuine sounding but cautious. Mom, I never wanted to hurt you. I just thought we were doing the right thing. Michael, the right thing would have been listening to me, respecting my choices, not trying to take away my freedom. You're right. I see that now. Can we try to move forward? I don't know. I need time. I understand. But Jennifer didn't call. Not that day, not that week, not for 3 months. In April, she finally reached out, a text message. Mom, can we talk? I didn't respond immediately. I let her sit with that question the way I'd sat with her betrayal. 2 days later, I texted back, come to the house, Saturday at 2. She arrived exactly on time, looking nervous. I let her in and we sat at the kitchen table, the same table where she tried to get me to sign away my rights, the same table where she told me she was petitioning for guardianship. I'm sorry, she said, tears already streaming down her face. Mom, I'm so sorry. I thought I was protecting you, but I was really just trying to control you, and I was wrong, so wrong. I didn't say anything. I let her continue. After Dad died, I was terrified of losing you too, and when you wouldn't listen to my suggestions about the house, I convinced myself it was because you weren't thinking clearly. But the truth is, you were thinking clearly. I just didn't like what you were choosing. So you tried to take away my right to choose. Yes, and it was horrible. I was horrible. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know that I understand what I did wrong. I looked at my daughter, this woman I'd raised, nursed through illnesses, celebrated every milestone with, this woman who tried to have me declared incompetent. Jennifer, I don't know if I can forgive you right now, I said honestly. What you did, it broke something. You weren't just trying to take my house. You were trying to take my dignity, my autonomy, my identity as a person who gets to make her own choices.
I know. And you did it on Christmas. You left me alone in an empty house on Christmas morning with legal documents instead of family. She sobbed. I know. It was cruel. I thought I was being strategic, giving you time to process without confrontation, but I was just being a coward. You were. We sat in silence for a long time. Mom, is there any chance at all that we can rebuild this? I don't know, but if we're going to try, some things need to change. You need to accept that I'm an adult who gets to make my own decisions, even if you disagree with them. You need to stop treating me like I'm incompetent or fragile or in need of saving. And you need to understand that this house, my house, is not up for discussion. Not now, not ever. Not unless I decide otherwise. I accept that. All of it. I promise. And if you ever try something like this again, we're done. Permanently. Do you understand? Yes, I promise. Never again. It wasn't a full reconciliation. It was a tentative first step. But it was something. Over the next year, Jennifer and I slowly rebuilt our relationship. It wasn't the same as it had been. There were cracks that would probably never fully heal. But we found a new normal. She visited once a week, and we'd have lunch, but she didn't comment on my house or my choices. David and Michael also made efforts to repair things, though it took time. The grandkids reached out too. Sophie called me crying, apologizing for disappearing that Christmas morning. Grandma, I didn't know what they were planning. I'm so sorry. It's okay, sweetheart. You're not responsible for your parents' choices. Emma and Ethan sent cards. We started having coffee dates, just the grandkids and me, rebuilding those relationships separately from their parents. But here's the thing I learned. Some betrayals change you forever. I'm more cautious now, more guarded. I don't trust as easily. And even though Jennifer has apologized, even though we're speaking again, there's a part of me that will never forget what she tried to do. The house, this house that caused so much conflict, remains mine. I still live here. I still take care of it. And every time I walk through these rooms, I remember that I fought for my right to stay. I'm 76 now. I still volunteer at the library. I still have coffee with Barbara every Saturday. I still take walks around the neighborhood. I'm doing exactly what I want to do, living exactly how I want to live, and nobody gets to take that away from me. Last Christmas, 2023, 1 year after the worst Christmas of my life, I hosted dinner at my house. All my kids came, all the grandkids. We had a beautiful meal. We exchanged gifts. We laughed. But when everyone started to leave, Jennifer pulled me aside. Mom, thank you for giving me another chance. You're my daughter. I love you. But Jennifer, don't mistake forgiveness for forgetting. I forgave you because holding on to anger was poisoning me, but I'll never forget what you did. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret giving me a second chance. After everyone left, I sat in Richard's chair and looked at the Christmas tree in my living room, in my house that I fought to keep, and I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years: peace. So here's what I want you to understand about my story. Family doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes the people who love you the most are the ones who hurt you the worst. Not because they're evil, but because they think they know what's best for you better than you know yourself. My daughter genuinely believed she was helping me. She convinced herself that taking away my choices was an act of love. And maybe in her mind it was, but love without respect isn't really love. It's control dressed up in caring words.
If you're watching this and you're a parent who's worried about your aging parents, please hear me. Your parents are adults. They deserve respect, dignity, and the right to make their own choices, even choices you disagree with, even choices that seem unwise to you. Unless someone is truly incapacitated, truly unable to care for themselves, you don't get to override their autonomy just because you're worried. Being old doesn't make someone incompetent. Being grieving doesn't make someone incompetent. Making choices you disagree with doesn't make someone incompetent. And if you're someone my age facing pressure from adult children who want you to downsize, move, sell your house, change your life, know this: you have the right to say no. You have the right to live in your own home, make your own decisions, and refuse help you don't want or need. Don't let anyone, even people who love you, make you doubt yourself just because you won't do what they want. That Christmas morning, when I found that guardianship petition under the tree, I thought my life was over. I thought my children had succeeded in taking away everything that mattered. But they didn't, because I fought back. I stood up for myself. I proved that I was exactly who I knew I was, a competent, capable woman who deserved to make her own choices. Was it hard? Yes. Was it painful? Unbearable. Did it damage my relationships? Absolutely. But I kept my freedom. I kept my home. I kept my dignity. And that was worth fighting for. 2 years later, I still think about that Christmas morning sometimes. I still remember the shock of opening that box, the betrayal of being abandoned by my own children on what should have been a day of love and family. But I also remember the moment the judge's ruling came through, the moment I knew I'd won, the moment I proved that I was strong enough to fight for myself. That's the gift that Christmas actually gave me, not the legal document, but the knowledge that even at 74, even grieving, even alone, I was strong enough to stand up for myself. And nobody can ever take that away from me. So let me ask you, have you ever had family members try to control your life for your own good? Have you ever been pressured to make a decision you didn't want to make? Have you ever had to fight for your own autonomy against people who
Claim they were just trying to help? Tell me your story in the comments, because I guarantee you're not alone. And sometimes just knowing someone else has been through it makes all the difference. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. And if you're going through something similar right now, please know this: you are not too old to fight for yourself. You are not too fragile to stand up for what matters. And you are not alone. This is Eleanor Price, sitting in the house I fought to keep, drinking coffee from the mug my husband used every morning for 48 years. And I'm here to tell you, never let anyone make you feel like wanting to live your own life is unreasonable. Because it's not unreasonable. It's human. It's your right. And it's worth fighting for. Merry Christmas. Even the hard ones teach us something. If this story resonated with you, please don't hesitate to like this video and subscribe to this channel so we can share more with each other. Please leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from.